Hey, everybody. Good to talk to you tonight. I just got off a coaching call and I thought it'd be a good time for me to share some insights of things that were talked about. And one of them has to do with finding your voice in relationship. So what typically happens is we have the honeymoon period where we're all lovey-dovey for the first 3 to 6 months, and then things start changing, and then we start speaking up about things that bother us. So one of the things that I've noticed a lot is when, especially with women, if they lose their voice, usually it has to do with something that happened when they were younger. All right, which is most of the time that's usually what's happening with folks when they have challenges in relationships, because they either didn't learn a skill, or they have bad habits, or they just, they shut down, and then things move forward without them knowing why things end up the way they do. So let's talk about the dance of speaking up. So the first thing you want to know and to remember is this: that when you're in a conflict, typically you'll go into some kind of a strategy, and you want to catch yourself doing that. You want to stop and say, okay, what's happening in me right now? The healing move is to be attuned to the other person, to stay attuned. But if we get triggered, it's hard for us to stay attuned to the other person to maintain healthy communication or healthy connection. So what we want is to first recognize that you're triggered, right? And then you want to bring in your witness. So the part of you that can say, I'm the one that's triggered right now. This person, I may not like what they're doing, or I may feel dismissed or not heard, but I'm the one that's making meaning out of that. All right, so that's important, because once you sort this whole thing out, you're going to realize that your memory system is what's triggering your reaction. All right, so the first thing you want to do is to stop, and sometimes you'll have to tell the other person you need a timeout if you're too triggered. But if you're not too triggered, you can just stop and go inward and say, I'm feeling dismissed right now, and here's what that, you could call it inner child, whatever you want to call it, but here's, like, I can tell, like little Eddie, let's say I'm talking to myself, I can tell you're really upset because you don't feel heard right now, and you're tired of hearing excuses, and part of you is really angry right now. And so what you're doing is you're actually validating your experience. That's the first step. Always validate your own experience. And you'll know, because the minute you start validating yourself, there's a part of you that goes, finally, I feel heard. So anytime you're looking for external sources to fulfill you inside, you're going to probably end up going down a dead-end street. The fastest way is to just pause and self-validate yourself. Yeah, I feel angry right now, or I'm not feeling heard right now, or I just noticed I felt dismissed, or whatever it is for you. So step one is to bring in the witness, and then validate yourself would be step two. Another step you can take is to pause and feel how scared you feel. Most people, when they start going into coping mechanisms, there's actually some insecurity that is going on, and they feel scared. And just notice how your body feels when you're scared. All right? And then what you do is you just breathe into that. Just be with it. Don't do anything with it. Don't try to run from it. Don't try, and if you want, you can watch what your mind starts doing. And that's what gets us into trouble, is all of the activity that the mind wants to do. So just don't do anything. Just stop and breathe and feel how scared you feel. And if you practice this enough, what'll happen is you'll just move right through it. Like you'll breathe right through the fear, you'll calm down, you'll take a couple of deep breaths, and everything will be back to normal again. All right, and then the last thing that you can do is ask yourself, what's the meaning I'm making out of this situation? Maybe it's I'm not lovable, or I don't matter, or this relationship is not going to last if this keeps happening, or I'm afraid I'll quit, or I'll give up, or I'm afraid they'll give up on me, or they'll have an affair on me, or whatever your past or whatever you're thinking. Just look at the meaning, like stop and say, what's the meaning I'm making out of this? All right. So those 3 things right there, or 4 things, can go a long ways in dismantling that knee-jerk reaction. And what I can tell you is if you stay in the position of they're the problem and I'm being the victim or the person that's being done to, you won't ever resolve it. It'll never fix itself. So if you want to take things into your own hands, or take control of the situation, just always go to the position that I'm the one that's having these emotions. I'm the one that's having this reaction. It's my experience, it's my past that's causing me to feel and think the way I am right now. I'm not saying you excuse them or you find reasons, for what they did and why that's wrong. I'm not asking you to do that. You don't have to like what they're doing. I'm just saying the way that you get off the hook is to turn inward and say, let me just pause for a minute and realize that I'm the one having this reaction. And let me validate myself. Let me feel my fear. Let me experience that. And let me soothe myself. Sometimes I like to just literally rub my arms, rub my face, just anything that feels good, that calms me down so I can think clearly, right? All right. And then the last one was look at the meaning that you've assigned to this, because the meaning is what gives it its power. And if you can stop and say, I see that this reminds me of my dad or my mom or whoever that you grew up with, and the meaning I put on it was this, then that can go a long ways in dismantling it. All right, hope that's helpful. Write your questions below if you have any. And it doesn't matter how old the video is. If it's, if a year from now, if you watch this video and you have a question, go ahead and post the question. I'll still come out and answer it. And hope this is good. If you have other questions about this dynamic, just put them below and we can have a little conversation going back and forth. Obviously, there's no one in the group right now posting comments, so I haven't been out here, so that doesn't surprise me. But at some point, hopefully you guys will come back and we'll start having some conversations. So anyway, many blessings. Hope this is helpful to some of you wherever you're at in your life right now with your relationships, and it improves your communication skills. Many blessings, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.